Sever an axolotl's limb, crush its spine, or even remove a portion of its brain, and it will completely regenerate the missing tissue. Yet drop that same resilient creature into a standard bowl of unfiltered tap water, and it can die in a matter of hours. To understand how an animal can be invincible to physical trauma, but defenseless against a common faucet, we have to look at its origins in the high-altitude wetlands of Mexico City. For millennia, these canals were a predator-free, perfectly stable utopia. Conditions were so ideal that the axolotl developed neoteny, a trait where it skips maturation and stays in its aquatic, larval stage forever. This evolutionary shortcut preserved the energy needed for rapid regeneration, but it also stripped them of environmental adaptability. Keeping one alive today requires you to meticulously engineer an artificial, perfectly stable microecosystem. That engineering starts with volume. A single axolotl requires at least a 20-gallon rectangular tank to provide enough floor space and dilute the high concentrations of waste they produce. While standard tropical aquariums are kept warm, axolotl water must be strictly maintained in a cold window between 60 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. If the water regularly hits 72 degrees, their bodies begin to fail. The heat strips away their protective slime coat, neutralizing their healing factors and inviting aggressive fungal infections. Countering this requires constant surveillance. You need digital thermometers to monitor the water in real time, and an active mechanical chiller if your room temperature begins to climb. These spatial and thermal parameters form the actual foundation of the animal's immune system. Even in a cold tank, a brand new glass box filled with fresh tap water is a chemical hazard. As axolotls digest food, they excrete massive amounts of waste that, in a closed system, rapidly converts into invisible, highly toxic ammonia. To manage this, you have to establish the nitrogen cycle before adding the animal. This involves running a filter to cultivate a dense colony of beneficial bacteria. This bacterial colony breaks down toxic ammonia into nitrites and finally into safer nitrates. These are then kept at manageable levels below 20 parts per million through weekly water changes. To house a large enough colony, you need a high-capacity filter like an AquaClear 30, which provides enough surface area for the bacteria while maintaining a gentle current that won't stress the animal. The filter functions as a synthetic liver for the entire enclosure, processing the chemical byproducts of life that would otherwise become lethal. Physical hazards exist even in clean water. Axolotls are visually impaired predators that hunt using a rapid vacuum suction method to inhale prey. If housed on standard aquarium gravel, this suction mechanism becomes a fatal flaw. They will indiscriminately inhale the rocks with their food, causing intestinal impaction. Because of this risk, tank floors must be kept completely bare or covered in an ultrafine sand that can pass safely through their digestive tract. Their internal health also requires a high-protein diet of pellets or live foods several times a week, and smooth hiding spots, like PVC pipes, to prevent stress-induced aggression or cannibalism. Every physical object in the tank must be selected to protect the axolotl from its own instinctual hunting behaviors. Outside of these controlled home environments, the modern reality of Lake Xochimilco is starkly different from its ancient state. Heavy urban pollution and the introduction of invasive fish have systematically dismantled the axolotl's native habitat. This environmental collapse has left the species functionally extinct in the wild. By meticulously managing water chemistry and temperature, owners are sustaining a population that no longer has a viable home in nature. Because these captive animals hold the critical biological keys to human regenerative medicine, their survival remains a scientific priority. Keeping the axolotl alive now depends entirely on human precision. To build a stable home for one, follow the Krawlo Axolotl Tank Setup Guide to find the exact gear and water testing protocols needed to sustain this species.